Alice, Alice, Alice. Wait, Lisa? What if the most powerful witch in Teyvat had been right in front of us from the very beginning, running the library without anyone noticing? What if Lisa is Alice? Yeah, both names sound the same if you say them over and over. And it wouldn't be the first time a phonetic trick like that revealed a character's true identity, but I know it's a silly idea that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But that silly idea got me curious, made me start digging, looking for connections, and seeing if there might actually be something there. And just like that, an interesting theory came up. The truth is, it's pretty hard to come up with theories about a world where half the things literally sound like Chinese to you. So, just like Lisa, make yourself a cup of tea and take it easy. These videos are here for us to have fun. The first thing that stands out about Lisa Mincchi, which I've already talked about quite a bit in the few videos I've made, hinting at a certain obsession with this character on my part, is that Lisa is much more than what we're directly shown. At this point, it's pretty hard to deny it. She seems to know way too much about this world. Nothing ever catches her by surprise. She has a mastery of magic that, even though it's rarely shown in an offensive way, when it is, it seems to have no limits and can't be compared to any other sorcerer. Let's not even get started on her attitude. Like nothing really affects her, as if she's a figure who sees everything from above, watching Teyvat with the eyes of someone reading a story or playing a game. Even her vision, while other characters have all kinds of stories about how they got theirs, moments of self-improvement, life or death situations, or radical changes in their worldview, Lisa's is the only one that seems truly unexplainable, as if she simply decided at some point that it would be useful, and just granted it to herself entirely on her own without the slightest difficulty or effort. It seems pretty clear that this woman is not just the humble librarian of the Knights of Favonius that she appears to be. But who is Lisa? On the other hand, we have Alice. Even though we haven't seen her in person in the game yet, we know a few things about her thanks to quests, books, and comments from other characters. Alice is a legendary figure in Teyvat, a celebrated adventurer, a prodigious alchemist, a famous author, the courageous mother of Klee, and an almost omnipotent sorceress. She is as powerful as she is unpredictable, has traveled to the ends of the world, and founded the enigmatic Hexenzirkel, a circle of witches with unreal power who hold secret gatherings. Her power and knowledge are as vast as her eccentricity, and there are strong indications that she isn't even originally from Teyvat. Some describe her as a tourist who possesses objects from other worlds and belongs to an unknown, long-lived race. Alice is not just a mysterious figure. She is an entity who seems not to belong to this world and, as such, is capable of defying its rules. Both are powerful witches shrouded in a mystery so thick it seems almost intentional. But what if they aren't actually two separate entities? What if Lisa is simply the name that Alice chose in order to live among us? They wouldn't necessarily have to be exactly the same entity in the strictest sense. It could be an incarnation of hers, a projection of her being that Alice left in Mondstadt before she departed. The power she is believed to possess is so great that it wouldn't be surprising if something like this was within her abilities. We've already seen others like Gold, her Hexenzirkel companion, create life forms of unimaginable power. The very same Raiden Shogun we meet at the beginning is actually a puppet in the physical world that she controls while meditating on another existential plane, one that shows an apathy toward everything around her, which vaguely resembles Lisa's attitude. Could Lisa be a similar case, but much more sophisticated in line with Alice's abilities? But for what purpose could she have left that extension of herself in Mondstadt? One of the reasons could be to stay close to her daughter. In fact, in many scenes and animated shorts where Klee appears, Lisa is often nearby. On top of that, the sorceress has a good relationship with the people closest to Klee, like Albedo or Razor. Being too directly involved with her might raise suspicions, but this would be a good way to guide her indirectly through other people. What mother wouldn't want to be close to her daughter, especially someone supposedly as powerful as Alice, who has more than enough tools and abilities to do so even while being absent? Now, if Alice really does come from another world and was only in Teyvat temporarily, it would make sense for her to eventually leave. But since she left behind a child, she would also be interested in looking after that world. Lisa may seem indifferent to everything, but she actually cares a lot about Teyvat. As you can see, she remains calm and confident during the Storm Terror crisis, even telling Jean directly to relax, because if things got out of hand, she herself would take care of the problem in a second. Another reason she might want to have a projection of herself in Teyvat is to study that world. This is reflected in how in just 2 years she absorbed all the knowledge that the legendary Sumeru Academia had to offer, something that seems impossible when you see renowned scholars dedicating their entire lives to studying there, yet achieving much less than she did. After that, she continued learning in a more independent and self-taught way, which eventually led her to that position as a librarian surrounded by rare tomes and exclusive books. It's quite a very good position if what she wants is knowledge, but without a doubt the most obvious connection between both characters is the Hexenzirkel itself, a gathering of the most powerful witches in the world led by Alice, and they meet precisely in Mondstadt. It's said that Lisa was invited to join the group, but she turned down the invitation for rather strange and puzzling reasons, like the fact that tea parties leave her cold, even though she's a tea lover and even has her own recipe in the game. That sounds like a pretty unconvincing excuse, and it could just be that she uses it to avoid commitments and responsibilities, but to be honest, I also find it entirely plausible and believable that she has a serious reason for not being in the coven, like maybe she's already part of it, Alice, its leader and founder, and she doesn't want to take the spot of another powerful and promising witch. Another strange element in all of this is how there are clues connecting Lisa to several witches from the Hexenzirkel at the same time, like her book The Witch of the Purple Rose, which looks almost identical to Anders' daughter's Boar Princess, or even her last name, Mincchi, which the community has linked to the mysterious M from the group. These connections seem way too obvious and forced compared to the usual mystery surrounding these characters. Yeah, it's really strange that there are clues pointing to a connection with several of the witches at the same time, don't you think? And maybe these are actually red herrings that Alice is deliberately leaving behind so that people connect Lisa to different characters, crudely copying one character's book cover, taking on another's fake last name, when the real key to the truth is in her first name. Whatever the case may be, at this point it's really hard to deny the connection between Lisa and the Hexenzirkel, just like the fact that her charged attack is almost identical to its symbol, something that would fit perfectly with its founder, honestly. Maybe Lisa is nothing more than what she appears to be. An elegant shadow among dusty bookshelves. A woman who reads the world as if she's already lived through everything. Or maybe, like stories hidden within other stories, she's just a single page in a much bigger tale. After all, there are names that are echoes, and echoes that serve as warnings. In Teyvat, the impossible isn't unusual. It's the everyday in disguise. And if there's anyone who can hide her truth behind a cup of tea and a lazy smile, it's her. So, now you know. If you ever find yourself alone in the library, try whispering, "Alice, Alice, Alice," and pay attention to see if someone opens her purple eyes and smiles at you in the dim light.